Well, shucks. I'm a little worried that you're excited I'm going to blow something up or set something on fire, and I am surely not. We have not cleared anything with the fire marshal. I apologize. Hello, San Francisco. This is awesome. Hedwig comes to San Francisco. A couple of locals from San Francisco are starring in it. We're going to bring them out in a second. But, a rock opera starring the victim of a botched sex change operation as she sings about her humiliations and constant reinvention. Perhaps at the beginning, it was reasonable not to imagine that Hedwig's success would be preordained. But 18 years later, it is firmly lodged in our culture. And in fact, at a moment when Caitlyn Jenner is a cover girl and Orange is the New Black is the best show on television, Hedwig seems way ahead of its time. And its moment continues. After finishing its Broadway run, it starts a touring show on October 2nd here in San Francisco. And to join me, thank you. Up here on stage, please welcome Lena Hall, Darren Criss, and Stephen Trask from Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't think, I dressed up because I thought they would outdress me, and I was wrong. I outdressed them by at least 6
I
miles.
did. I'm wearing my Marc Jacobs Hillary Clinton shirt.
That is pretty sweet. Yeah. Forgive me. I take that back.
I always try and dress differently, and I'd seen enough interviews with you, Stephen, and I figured this was a safe bet to be different than what you'd be wearing. I want to start at the very beginning.
That's a very nice place to start.
Yay, we like musicals. I recognize that.
Lena,
Yes.
what was your first experience of Hedwig and the Angry Inch? Where were you when you first saw it? What was the occurrence?
Well, I was 19 years old. I was in Cats on Broadway, and my sister was in town. And one of the guys in Cats.
You were in Cats?
Yeah, they're
glossed
reviving
over
it.
that.
It's insane. So one of the cast members, his sister was playing Yitzhak, and it was her last show, and they had tickets to give away. And so he gave me a pair of tickets, and I took my sister. We had no idea what it was, and we showed up at the Jane Street and literally had our minds blown. And by the end of the show, our arms were in the air and we were sobbing. And I bought the cast album immediately. I listened to it for years straight, and I was very, very obsessed with the show. It was something. It was like the first time I had ever seen a piece of theater that kind of broke the mold of what I thought musical theater had to be. And it was the first time I had ever seen rock music truly represented. In perfect form in a theater piece. So it was so exciting for me, since I was such a rock nerd anyway as a kid, and to see both of my loves kind of combined into one beautiful piece. It was so thrilling and exciting, and to this day that cast recording is my favorite.
Darren.
Mine's not too dissimilar. I mean, I wasn't in Cats, but the reaction of everything is very much the same. I was in high school. I was I think the film hadn't come out too far from the point that I had gotten hip to the record, but I actually hadn't even seen the film or the show. I just knew one song, which was "The Long Grift," and which is Steven singing on it, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Which is rad, because here we are. That's pretty cool. I was getting really. My brother and I were very, very close, and we always were just big record junkies. We just consumed music with just an insatiable appetite, especially as teenagers and trying to find your identity. And we were getting really into Bowie and to Lou Reed, and this was sort of an extension. I think he was dating some girl that might have, whatever it was. This song made its way onto a mix that he had made, and I was like, this song's amazing. What is this from? And I watched the film, and I remember being actually psyched when I found out that it was a theater piece, because I was like, oh my God, similar to Lena being, this is the first time I've ever heard sort of accessible music that I like, at least stuff that would be on the radio, at least what I would want to be on the radio, be in a musical theater piece. And even calling it a musical theater piece is sort of unfair. It's so much more than that. But if it had to be categorized, now that it's been on Broadway, it's kind of put in that category. But it was the first time I was like, holy shit, this is really something it's the perfect combination of so many things that I love. And so it was the music that hit me first. And then when I saw the film, I was just blown away by this. And I just rewatched the film like a week or two ago. It is such a fantastic film. And then I kind of think of the context. It was John's first film, like out of the gate. There's so many things like that where you guys came together after just doing the show off Broadway, and to make something cross over so well into a film really blew my mind. So hey, you nailed it. Well done.
Thank you.
But anyway, so that was my first realization where this is so great.
Stephen, can you talk a little bit about the genesis of Hedwig?
Like meeting John on a plane genesis, or
I thought it was funny.
like how we first started writing, or
Yeah.
how the ideas first came about.
The first idea.
The first idea, I'll tell you how Hedwig started, because John and I were working on a musical that was mostly autobiographical about him, and he was, and it was sort of an exploration of past lovers by a rock star rather than an actor, who was basically John, and at some point very early on, we had an Origin of Love. So John handed me this book of Plato dialogues and had Plato Symposium in it, and I thought it was, and he asked me if I could write a song, and I wrote that song, and then we had that song, and we weren't really getting anywhere other than that, and then he just started telling me stories about his life, and I had like a little legal pad, and I'm taking down notes, and he started telling me about this babysitter that he had, or that his family had hired to take care of his brother, and it was a very funny story about this babysitter that lived in a trailer, and he and his friend Gina, I want to say, but I don't know, used to go over to her house and act out songs for her, and they'd dance around and sing these and do these story songs, and then she would have all these, and she would give them vodka. And then she had a lot of dates, and they thought it was really weird because she wasn't that attractive, and she had a lot of dates, and sometimes she didn't even seem to know who the dates were, and they'd look out the window to see who was coming up, and if the date looked okay, they would run out the back door and leave her there, and if the date didn't look okay, they'd all run out the back door. So he told me that story, and I just thought this was really spectacular. And I was working at this drag club at the time, where I was leading a 4-piece rock band that was sort of like my own band, Cheater, but also is basically what the lineup of the Hedwig band: keys, keyboard, guitar player, me, and drums, bass, and guitar. And I was backing up drag queens every Friday night doing punk rock songs. And I was like, you know what? If you put on a wig, we can make her into someone who knew this rock star, and before he was famous, and then he becomes famous, and she's left singing in dives, and she's resentful, and we'll get a whole scene out of this. And we can workshop it, we can take it down to Squeeze Box, we can just kind of get to know the character, and then we'll figure out what her scene is. And so that was the plan, and we really originally thought that she was just going to be one of the past lovers of this rock star, and she was going to have one scene, and she was going to sing "Wicked Little Town," and that was it. You were just going to go and interview her, like, "Oh, you knew the rock star, and yeah, I've got to go sing my song." And she'd go up on the stage and sing the song about being stuck in the small town, and he was famous. And then we went and brought it down to Squeeze Box, and it was like an instant hit. And we kept getting bookings at clubs and a beach party, and yes. We did a beach party. It was like Sandy Gallen and David Geffen, and there was all these very very Tony homosexuals with lots of money who hated us so much. They hated us. We're in the bright daylight on the beach, and they hated us. And John went up and like sat in Sandy Gallen's lap and was just like, "Get away from me!" And but we kept on getting bookings, and then I would write a new song, and John would write some more monologue, and eventually we got to a point where it became obvious that we were kind of developing this to be bigger than one scene. And so then for a while we thought, well, we'll do one act of Hedwig and one act of the character that was, I don't even think he was Tommy yet, I think he was still John. And then we kept doing it, we're like, you know what, we'll do one night of Hedwig and then a night of Tommy and then a night of Hedwig. And there was like, how about a week of, and then by the time it was done, it was just, he was just out, not, out the door, like literally.
Amazing. Lena, I'm blown away that your first experience was the sister of Itzhak. Can you talk about your first time getting cast in Hedwig? That must have been astonishing.
Yeah, I had an epic audition.
Epic.
When I heard the show was coming to Broadway, I was like, I have to be in it. There's just no way I can't not be in this show. I have to. So I went in and I understood the character of Yitzhak pretty well. I knew he was a man, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a man, so I was like, I have to go in as a man. And so I did. I came in and I was like, it's a rock show. So for my very first audition, which was literally like 2 people in the room, there I was full man, and I brought my guitarist from my band to be my accompanist, and they called my name, and I had him go in first with his guitar, and I came with my little Marshall amp to a little rehearsal space, and I brought the Marshall amp in, and I plugged in and set him up, my guitarist, and then I was like, hello, my name is Lena Hall, and I'll be singing, what did I sing? No, I sang because we got to sing one of our own choices, and there was a list of songs that they wanted us to sing, and I ended up singing something completely not even related to what they wanted me to sing. But
what was the list?
It was.
Yeah, I don't know what that list was.
We'll talk about that later. Oh, "Kiss Me Deadly." I sang "Kiss Me Deadly" by Lena Ford. I was like, I'm gonna rock and roll. Fuck
Wow,
this.
that's
And
so
yeah, so I did that, and I also sang "Long Grift" and stuff like that. Whatever. So for my final
Whatever.
for whatever.
That stupid song.
That dumb song. And then for my final callback, I came in and I did the material for them and pretty much the same setup and did all the material from the show. And for my final callback, they were like, can you come in and we want you to tell a story, you tell a joke. We want you never to break character. So the minute you come in, you're Yitzhak and until you leave, whatever. We're going to ask you questions and then you're going to do an improv scene with John. I was like, oh my God. I was falling out of my seat. I was going to die because I was such huge fans, and just being in the room with Steven and John at once was like heart attack city. So between my show, I was in Kinky Boots at the time. It was a Wednesday. And and if you saw Kinky Boots, I played like the kind of like really materialistic, bitchy, from Northampton, and I just wanted shoes, and I was all about these shoes and whatever. And and so right after the show was my audition for Hedwig, between shows on a Wednesday, and so I got into drag. I ran to my audition. And then they made me wait for half an hour because the producer went to my Kinky Boots Christmas party and was coming from there, David. And then, so he's here. And so I waited, and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die. I went in the room, and the first thing, they're like, well, you want to tell the story? So I told them a 2.5-minute story. I made up this whole backstory for Yitzhak, that I came from this small town in Croatia that was the sole producer of the yak hair for the wigs in Cats on Broadway, and it was a boom town. It was a boom town, and so this was how I knew about theater. This is how my character knew about theater. He grew up, in a industrial town, and it went under when Cats closed on Broadway. The town went. And his mother died in a big fire because she had hoarded all the yak hair and died from smoking a cigar, and what was left over was my tape for Rent, from Rent the musical, and I was like, this is my mother's way to tell me to go after my dreams and come to New York. and be on Broadway and Rent. And so, I come to New York and I go to the theater and it's closed and in its place is Newsies. And so I had to come up with this reason why I was in the room in the first place as Yitzhak, because I couldn't be auditioning for Hedwig as Yitzhak. Like, I had to be there for a reason. So my idea was that I was going to get them to donate to my Kickstarter campaign to bring Rent back to Broadway so I could star as Angel. And I did after my 2.5-minute monologue, I did an entire 2.5-minute video that I just calmly brought a MacBook. This isn't an audition. Brought a MacBook out and I opened it up and I just pressed play and there was my video for 2.5. No, and the whole time I'm like, this is brilliant. I'm thinking like, I did it, I nailed it, whatever. And the whole time I'm doing this, not a sound. Nobody laughed, nobody made a sound. The only person who did anything was John Cameron Mitchell. He once was like, nah. That's like it.
He just does that sound though. That's just a sound that he makes.
It's every couple of minutes. It just comes out.
Silence. I was like, oh my God, I bombed. I completely blew it, whatever. I did the songs then, and then I did this improv scene with John where he kissed me, and I was like, oh my God. And then I left. It was a 40-minute audition, and then I ran from my audition because I was late for my half hour for my night show. Ran back to my night show, tore everything off, went and was back to, Nicola, I'm on the shoes. And and then I found out randomly that I got the job, and I
Randomly? Sounds like it's pretty precise after
That
Was it written on a map?
Your monologue
I know.
was way more than 2.5 minutes.
It was.
My mind is blown right now. They felt bad for you. They were like, just take it. Jeez.
It was 10 minutes with the long pauses of Yitzhak.
Yeah, and if you speed read it on a page.
Yeah, if you speed read it on a
it's 2.5
page, it's 2.5
minutes.
Okay, it was long, but
It was a long.
but they were intrigued.
It was
Intrigued
even.
They were intrigued,
Yeah.
and then when I got the job, I don't know.
It was the best
I
audition
had a
ever.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean,
No,
you've
it was-
been
it
part
was-
of the audition
was-
process for all the iterations of Hedwig.
I'm pretty sure. To correct me if I'm wrong, but people took the tape of that audition and they showed it in acting classes. This is
I was
how-
gonna say,
this
can
is
we
how to
see this
audition.
tape?
This is how to audition for a show, and acting
Yes,
teachers
it's used as
show,
like
show
an
that.
example.
When I say it's the best audition ever, it is literally the best audition ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to surface.
Absolutely. God. My God. I gotta get my act together.
What was it like to cast this young man?
Well, after that, I don't even know if I have any comparable story. I mean, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, it was more like he was there on the first night, and I said, "Will you play Hedwig?"
And I was
he
like,
said yes.
Yeah. I didn't bring a video. I didn't have 2 shows to do that day. God, I
You
look
see
like
what we women have to
kinda-
go through.
That's what I'm saying.
He just kinda-
Amen. Absolutely. I mean, it's absurd. I feel I have such guilt. It was such a non-plussed process.
Yours is sort of like, oh, let me check my schedule. How's this date? I don't know if that works. What about this? Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let's do that. Cool.
I feel great.
Yeah, you should. Hey, listen. She has the Tony. I don't. That makes sense to me.
This will get something straight. When Yitzhak's mom died from the cigar, she was on a pile of yak hair, or was it a sofa made of yak hair? Was
So
she making furniture out of the yak hair?
She made the furniture from the yak hairs
Yeah.
so that it was a warmer place to
Yeah.
be
Because
because
it's very cold there. Yeah.
it is very cold in Croatia. So she made
a sofa.
sofa out of yak hair, fell asleep with
remember
the
that.
cigar, and it poof
It wasn't just a pile; it was a sofa.
Okay.
like cat. I think
It was
I
little
said-
details like that.
Yeah,
that just-
like cat on fire, poof.
A little bit of film trivia: Chewbacca is also made of yak hair.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
poof.
I hope. He's obviously made it out of the fire. He's okay. He made it out of Croatia.
He's been fireproof.
Thank God. Good.
Lena,
Safe.
you've played Yitzhak opposite how many Hedwigs at this point?
This will be my 5th wife.
5th wife.
I have 4. So Neil Patrick Harris, Andrew Rannells, Michael C. Hall, John Cameron Mitchell, and now Darren Criss.
Exactly. I know. Sloppy fifths.
They say the fifth time's the charm, baby.
That's what I hear. That's why I signed up. You know.
I'm curious how Itzhak changes with different Hedwigs. Does the role change performance to performance?
We're about to find out.
We're
by
about
the
to
way,
find out. Well,
'cause we don't know.
what's interesting is that every Hedwig is obviously very different. I mean, there's never one Hedwig that is the same, and also never one performance that is the same due to the nature of the show. There's a lot of variables on that stage. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that can happen. The audience is different, so audience participation is different. But honestly, Yitzhak, he has his basic wants and his basic desires and basic dreams, and will respond in a very similar way to things. But it is however the Hedwig will respond to what I'm doing, or how they want to berate me and drag me down into the depths of hell. But Michael C. Hall it was a much more tender relationship, and John's relationship with me was much more physical. Like, he would like make out with me on stage. I'd be like, okay. Andrew Rannells was amazing because he was so big, first of all, so I was just scared of him because he's already like 6'3" or something without heels on. So with the heels on, he was like 6'7", and then with the wig, he was even taller. He was like 7 feet tall, and I'm like, he was the one who broke everything. So he was like, I don't know, he was like superhuman. He would grab a microphone and it would just break in half. And I'd like run and I'd get him another microphone and I'd switch it out and he'd like take a mic stand and just break it in half. It was amazing to me. So, it's like it just depends on the Hedwig and how, our relationship, we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, we've had 5 some odd days
Yeah,
together.
we've had 5 days of rehearsal
So
together.
People
So
are going to be seeing what this relationship will be. It's right here in San Francisco. We're going to find out.
yeah, as time goes.
Yeah.
Stephen, do you have a set thing you tell actors in different parts as they embark on Hedwig, or is it different every time? Do some people need advice and some people don't?
Everybody needs advice. Everyone asks for advice, but it's different for everybody. Because everyone has people come with different things that they bring and things that they feel that they're not bringing, even if they are. I think that a lot of times people approach the material like it's cooler than they are. No?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Some actors will approach it that way.
Yeah, actually, to your credit, you came in the other day when we were having just a small rehearsal, and you were being very diplomatic to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here. I don't. You were very nice to be like, okay, go ahead and find.
You were having like an intimate moment with Joe, and it just felt like,
but also letting these actors find what it is. But we were both like, no, like how rare is it that we have the writers of the show at our beck and call? You were just there. I mean, God, if it's like. You are the source of all this information, so having all your notes there it's such a luxury to have as an actor playing such a complex part. And you gave like 2 notes that just like blew my mind. That completely changed the trajectory of this show.
all right,
Yeah,
that's good.
so
I give it's different. It's different for everybody. So like I think by the time we got to opening. At the very beginning, I think Neil had asked me about almost every single lyric. What does this mean? What does this mean? And we were all finding our way for how to do this on Broadway, and I was sending him videos of Fugazi performances and The Clash and the Ramones and Iggy Pop, anything where people knew how to take the stage, whether it was moving across the stage a lot or just standing there and being powerful, because he felt like that was where he really needed to study.
Does Hedwig change for you over the years? Different actors embodying the role must show you things maybe you didn't know about the role earlier.
Yes. And then also, yeah, because some people, because she's a very multifaceted character, and So people bring themselves to it, and then you find that side of that of the character there. And also, time changes, our culture changes, and I never really find that the character stops working, but the character changes for me as we go along. Seems to reflect where my brain is at any particular moment in time.
Oh, sure. I guess the audience must respond to different things depending on what year it is.
Yeah.
Also, with what city it's in, I mean, this is such a vibrant theater city. I know that, a lot of my friends in this city love Hedwig, and the fact that it's here has a certain, I mean, the show, the new Broadway iteration has a lot of references to the city itself, just like we did in New York, and we've rewritten things to be specific for San Francisco or specific for LA. So although it's a tiny shift, it does sort of change the sort of immediate locale and the immediate sort of time and place of everything, because it's all happening right then and there on that night, one night only performance before your eyes. So yeah, I guess inevitably it sort of changes.
Well, and so we buried the lead a little bit, and I know that if you read about the show, you might know about this, but in fact, on stage, we have 2 Hedwigs.
Yeah.
History is being made because, Lena, you are the first woman to take on the role of Hedwig in the San Francisco production.
Yeah, boo.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, first off, should we mention Ali Sheedy?
Well, in San
No,
Francisco,
thank
I guess
you.
it's
No, they don't like to
Broadway.
mention Ali Sheedy. I always ask this. Ali Sheedy actually closed the show off Broadway.
Off-Broadway,
So
yeah.
technically, I'm not the first woman to
No,
ever.
no. We came back from that.
Oh, you came back
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, Matt
With-
McGrath was after.
Matt
and,
McGrath.
And Kevin Cahoon helped us out.
Kevin
Oh.
Cahoon.
But
I saw
Kevin
Kevin
Cahoon,
Cahoon. He was
yeah.
And then
brilliant.
Matt came back,
Cahoon's the
and
man.
we
Okay.
ended on a high note.
Okay,
but
we ended
that
on a
was
high note.
She didn't really do Hedwig, though. She did
Ali Sheedy, right?
Ali Sheedy for like 3 hours
That's-
in a modified Hedwig
So
costume.
But you're
They don't
the-
like to-
for the Broadway
they don't like to
version. You're the
count.
first woman. I would
I'm the
say
first.
that.
Yeah, I'm the first woman on the
woman.
Broadway version, which is really cool. It only took how many men before a woman came in to do it?
Yeah.
That's right. Breaking my own little glass ceiling there.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about it because I sat and I actively listened and watched the show because as Yitzhak, unbeknownst to a lot of people, I sit and I am constantly watching Hedwig.
Oh my God, it's unreal.
It's like, but I'm also constantly listening. So there's never like a time where I'm not actually listening and paying attention because I can't. Because if the minute I don't pay attention will be the minute that something goes wrong and I miss it or whatever. So actively for an entire year, I was just absorbing the show like every single night. And so to get a chance to play it is wild because when I went into rehearsal, I was like immediately off book. And I was like, why am I immediately off book? This is insane. Because it just from the year of just absorbing it. And it's really exciting because I wasn't sure I could do it because I was a little scared because, I didn't know if I was going to be funny enough or I knew I could sing it, but I didn't know if I could tell the story right, if it would be confusing for a woman to play it, if people would be confused as to the whole transgender thing, like if it would work or if I had to be more masculine or if I had to do anything. And quite honestly, I just get lost in it and I have so much fun and I love it so much. So I'm so thrilled that they're giving me like my little shot, to do it once a week.
There is
to, like-
nobody more qualified to do this than Lena Hall, I will have to say. It's like you know this show so well, you've been there and you see everything. I just see it in your eyes, you know everything. It's like our next president. It's like she's been around for everything. She knows what she has to do. She's overqualified for the job. It's the same as you. You've been there on the sidelines in the shit. You know exactly how this thing goes. And I've got to watch her in rehearsal, guys. She's just stellar. I mean, this woman possesses a freak of nature voice, and,
So sweet,
and she's
thank
just
you.
an unreal person. So I hope you all get a chance to see her perform because she's really fantastic. So,
So
that's
sweet.
yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. I mean it.
Darren, I'm interested in what questions you've been asking to inform the role. It's a heady group to follow and an amazing role. What do you do to make it your own and to embrace it?
I mean, it was really inevitably everybody who has ever played Hedwig is part of this sort of narrative. because the next time somebody plays it, because the team has been the same team more or less, the creative heads right down to the costumes and the producers, they've been around since it was off Broadway. So everybody has that, oh, you know, actually when so-and-so did it, they did this or that or the other thing. And I don't take offense. I don't go, oh, I need to do my own thing. It's great because it's a sort of through line that it's like not every single Hamlet is going to have talked to every other Hamlet ever before. That's insane. So the fact that I get to do that for this is really cool. I didn't get to talk directly to each actor that has done it, but there will be little bits and bobs that, you know, somebody, you know, so-and-so did this, that really worked, and I can play with that. And just because there's this sort of meta-ness to the show that is just inevitable because of the way the play's conceit is sort of set up, that whether I'm conscious of it or not, all actors bring a piece of themselves to something, no matter how much they bury something into a role, whether it's timing or vocal timbre or something. So I don't know what I specifically bring to it. One of the coolest pieces of feedback that I got when I was doing it on Broadway was at the end of a 2-show day, there were some folks outside, and one guy said, man, you know what? It's crazy, I've seen a lot of Hedwigs. You gotta be the meanest Hedwig I've ever seen. And I went, wow, that's interesting. And I just, I mean, for whatever reason, maybe that show that day informed that performance. And then within the same line, somebody else was like, you know what's cool, man, is that you're like one of the more sweeter Hedwigs I've ever seen. And that just goes to show that there really is this active symbiosis of stuff. I mean, you know, with a grain of salt, obviously the story is the same, and the script is so tight that it's best not to stray away from it too much. But there is the variable of the audience, of the room, that it's hard to ignore. And if there's a certain give and take that sort of just yields certain attitudes sometimes. So it's cool because it really is not that actor cliche of like, well, you know, every show is different. You know, it's like it truly, really is, and the audience is a pretty big variable in that. It changes the way we interact, and again, it's small because, you know, also we'll be having one of the writers here. I don't want to say, yeah, we gotta change it every night, because it's pretty bulletproof. It's tight, but it does just change it just enough to make it different. So the questions that I ask are usually. I don't know. I think I minimize my questions and stick to the script, like a good actor should, I suppose, because it has worked for so long. I just wanted to make one point earlier about, you were saying how you were kind of worried if people would immediately get behind you being a woman, playing a man, being a woman, and this sort of gender fluidity, if that would be lost on people. And this is another compliment to Stephen, which I've just showered with him constantly. I've showered with him constantly? God. Jeez.
Yeah, I was wondering about that
I just
myself.
caught that, yeah.
Have we
Freudian
all?
slip. Talk about gender fluidity. Well, what's really great is that people don't, Stephen loves that.
You were talking about your audition.
I was, exactly, yeah, the casting couch, the shower, casting shower. Let's see how your voice sounds in the shower, young man.
Oh my God, I've got a great story. You've got to finish this.
I'll finish my point. But there was a line very early on when I did it on Broadway where we kind of put like a hat on me being one of the younger Hedwigs to come in. And we had this one, it was something about like concealer, or just to kind of poke at the fact, you know, just to say like we realized that I'm one of the younger guys. And it never played, and it never worked. And when I realized, it's because the character and the words in the play is so strong that the audience is smart. Like, you get it. Nobody goes, wait, hang on, that's a woman playing it. Like, the show starts, the song hits, the character comes guns blazing, and it's so strong that everybody just goes, yep, cool, you're Hedwig. Like, you don't really even think about it. It's all about just what she's saying and how she acts. And to the credit of modern audiences now, people are just like, absolutely cool, I'm in, great. And that has a great deal to do with the words that Stephen and John wrote, and well done.
So true. I've got to tell this story.
Yeah, shower time.
Our first preview.
I was there.
You were there. Okay, great. After our first preview, now I was shocked. Well, we didn't know how the show was going to be with an audience. The audience came. It was like a mind-blowing experience, whatever. And I was in my dressing room, and I was butt naked, butt naked, not a thing on, out for the world to see. I get not even a knock on my door. In walks Stephen and John. And they're like, oh my God, you were so great. And they come and they hug me. And I'm like, butt naked. And I'm like, they're like talking to me. Oh my God, you were so good. You were so brilliant. I'm standing there. I'm just like, butt naked. And finally I look over at Stephen and Stephen looks down for like a second. And I'm like, can you guys leave? I'm like, can I put a robe on, please? And they were like, we don't care. I'm like, I care. I'm like, out.
It had been a while since I'd seen one of those.
So yeah, that was
so
my first
clean.
preview.
It's theirs as well.
That's how excited.
No, sir.
Still got it. Yes. I'm ready. I'm ready for the show. Put us back on track.
So good.
We have some questions that have been submitted through Twitter from fans. This one comes from @Darren Criss.
Oh, wow. Me? What did I ask myself?
Stephen,
Oh.
how excited/amazed are you that Hedwig is taking over the West Coast and touring? Did you ever imagine it would?
Not like this, no. No, we once tried to go to Los Angeles and we died. It was very sad.
No one goes out to see shows there.
They don't, and we were in a place that no one went to, in a really huge house.
Wasn't
Was this
Bowie
the-
involved? Wasn't he?
Yes,
like,
he
a
lost like
producer?
$1 million
Right. Jeez, that's crazy.
in a week.
Wow. Yeah. So that's just like one day of his
That was
life.
just so sad.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
He was like, whatever. I'm bored. No, this is spectacular. Did you really ask this? On
No,
Twitter?
man,
This
no.
is not you. It was
No.
like,
But I do have a question, though.
but like,
I do have a question for Stephen Trask that I wanted to ask that I think would behoove all of us if you're curious.
I'll rewrite it here.
Oh, please do. I was curious because you had lived with it so long and you had been working on this off-Broadway, or maybe before it was on Broadway, maybe you saw it in other parts of the world. I know South Korea has a healthy obsession with the show. There's so many places that this has been put on, whether in colleges or wherever, and doing this and seeing it on Broadway, because I remember when you were like, oh my God, when this is coming to Broadway, I really want to do it. I told you the other day, my like dream was like, oh man, if I ever had the chance, I would love to open the show on Broadway. But that'll never happen. They need a big star. And I remember like reading Neil doing, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's going to be a great thing for the show. Was it weird for you to like let go of what started in Squeezebox or at Don Hills? Now you're seeing it in the Belasco Theater with a car and set and big Broadway level stuff. Like, how was that for you? Like, were you precious?
I wasn't precious, although I was particular. But there was a part of me that just wanted to be a member of the Broadway band.
Are you asking if you can be in the band right now?
No.
Because I think you know a guy that.
I mean, when we first, I was like, I'll be like when we first started talking about doing something to celebrate what at the time was going to be the show's 10th anniversary. We would just talk about doing it for one night, and it was going to be just John and me and Miriam and whoever. So and then it took forever. It was like 6 years later that we actually ended up on stage, with neither of us on the stage. And there was a part of me that wanted to be up there, and all my friends were in the band, so it was like, oh, I could be doing that. But I didn't, I knew it wasn't what I wanted out of my life. But no, by that time, I was sort of used to watching my stuff get done by other people, and that version on Broadway that's now here was better than anything I could have realized had I been in it. So I was pretty happy. But can I just say the West Coast thing? We used to try and get the show out to different cities, and we'd get licensed by some big, touring company that would want to do it in Boston or Los Angeles, and they'd pay a huge amount of money to us, or it felt like a huge amount of money at the time. It probably really isn't. And then we'd open in Boston in this giant theater that was like 10 times what we were in off-Broadway, with a ticket price 3 times as high, and everything was kind of just off, and then it would close. And it just didn't make sense to go to Boston in a theater that was bigger than the theater we did in New York and charge 2, 3, 4 times as much, and same in Los Angeles. And at some point, the off-Broadway producers gave up their rights to do the show. There's an interesting story that involves Carl Reiner, but that's for another thing.
What?
I think his wife wrote a play, and our producer, one of our off-Broadway producers, this woman Suzanne B, was producing it, and she'd raised all the money from their rich friends, and then siphoned it off to go produce this renegade production in Chicago to try and hold on to the touring rights, even though it actually expired. And it closed in like a day, and she didn't pay any of the artists, and then she didn't have the money for the other project, and then that closed too. And now and then she had to sign a deal with the state of New York to never produce theater again. So, but
that was the tale of Susie B.
So we
Very
got
rarely
the
used
no, but we
form.
got the show back, and so John and I were like, let's not do any of these top-heavy productions anymore. Let's wait and see who wants to do the show, who thinks this is a really good idea, and like some band and an actor get together and they want to do the show somewhere. Let's let them have it, and we'll take nothing up front, and we'll just take a bigger piece of the box office if it's a hit. And sure enough, we got approached by an actor in a band in Seattle that found a bar that had a stage in like a separate storefront, like 2 storefronts next to each other, and it ran for like a year and a half or something, because it was just this indigenous thing, these people that really felt the material, and all of a sudden this show that had never passed off Broadway, it didn't earn us any money, nothing was happening with it, and all of a sudden it started just cropping up the way little indie bands do. So it was just like little indie productions here, little indie productions there, and it kept on going and going until eventually we had a reputation around the country as a theater piece. But it happened because people approached us because they were passionate about it, and that's how it ended up in Korea. The guy who wanted to do it in Korea was like, he just loved this thing so much, and he translated it, and he did it in Korea. And that's how it got to Brazil. The guy loved it, translated it, did it in Brazil. And I think that's why we were able to end up on Broadway, was because the show was kind of touring around like a struggling band.
That's a meandering way that's worthy of Hedwig herself.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah.
And this is a West Coast production, but Darren and Lena, you guys are both locals. You're from
Born
San
and raised,
Francisco.
baby. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
It's crazy.
So I know locals are like hen's teeth here, right? Everyone's from somewhere else.
Yep.
But I'm going to ask you the local San Franciscan question. Where'd you go to high school?
School of the Arts.
Yeah, exactly. I went
Born
to
and raised in the Haight-Ashbury, baby.
SI. I went to St. Ignatius. Yeah.
Hi.
Sunset kid. Yeah.
Funny fact, we're both Filipino.
Yeah, both have Filipino as well.
It's the all-Filipino
and
cast.
equally funny fact, we don't look like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's there. Can't
It's
get rid
so
of it.
there.
We're
Was
definitely
they were
Filipino.
able to tick that diversity box then?
Oh, you bet
Oh,
your
yeah.
sweet
Yes,
took us. We did.
yes.
Absolutely.
Honey.
Asian American. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're both from the city, which is something we didn't realize till I remember meeting you and going, wait, what? Like, how did I not know this? Because this is as you know, those of you who are from here know, it's like I can be anywhere in the world, and if someone says they're from San Francisco, and I go, but like, really, are you actually from San Francisco? because if they, and not because I'm pretentious, because it means if they are, we know somebody in common. It's like,
Right.
it's gonna happen. It's like, where'd you go to high school, man, But,
Well, and this is the thing is, my wife is a local, and
Well
she
done.
grew up here, but she went to high school in Ann Arbor. So
which is cool with me.
right, but if you say that to a San Francisco native, they're like, "Where did she go to high school?" I said, "Well, she went to high," and their eyes glaze
Goes
right
over, yeah. Not interested.
No interest.
I would be the one diplomat that would be interested. Did she go to what? Huron? Would she go to
Pioneer.
Pioneer? Of course. I should have led with that. Yeah, I used to go over see plays at Pioneer all the time because I went to the University of Michigan. There you go. Exactly. Go blue.
Screamer also went to
Exactly.
Soda, I think.
Nice, sweet. We got a good hodgepodge of my sort of alma
Is-
mater club.
Is it nice coming back to your hometown for work?
Yeah, it is really cool. I
On a
mean,
mission?
I think another thing that everybody who's from the city can say, even though it is sort of like everybody says this, but it's totally true. I mean, the city's changed so much, like in the past 10 years, which is a good and bad thing. I mean, depending on what you're sentimental about. I mean, it's obviously had its huge tech boom, and which is a great thing for a lot of reasons, and maybe not for a lot of other reasons. But I feel like this is where I'm from, but the city that I knew is no longer here, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because my family's here, my friends are here, so like it's about the people, not where my old building used to be. That's okay. Google took it over, but they made it better, probably. I mean, so it's
Now
a
it
new
levitates.
spot. Yeah, now it levitates, and it's
Google makes
smarter than
everything
me.
just a little worse.
Yeah, Google might have made it a little worse. I mean, it depends what school of thought you're from. I'm trying to be pretty like nice about it because I just got here. I can already feel like Google red dots going over my head. They're watching me.
They already know what you're thinking.
They know, yeah, before I do.
I can't help but notice that we have this lovely impromptu setup here.
Me too.
Would you guys grace us with some music?
Let's do it.
No.
Sure. What are we gonna do? Oh my God. We didn't even rehearse.
We figured this out just like right when you guys were walking in. So,
I
rock
think
and roll.
we all flew in today, didn't we? All three of us. So this is called getting off a plane and singing.
I'm to encourage the audience, take video, take pictures, put it up.
I was gonna say, get this. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I've never gotten a chance to play with Stephen Trask live in this situation before. So
I
this
just
is
learned
pretty rad.
this song.
I've never gotten a chance to just sing with Darren like this and have him play guitar. So this is really cool. I'm stoked. Oh my God! Oh my God! The sea of phones. That's insane.
So, wait, hold on.
Oh my God! No, you don't. Oh my God! Wow!
there's a
We
lot
are
more people
in
here
San
than we thought.
Francisco.
Yeah. Did anybody else grow up coming to this theater a lot, seeing shows? Yeah. I saw Rent here for the first time. I saw Rent here. I saw Wicked here. When it started, when it was out of town tryouts.
So Darren wanted to do this kind of crusty nugget version of this Hedwig song.
Krusty Nugget.
Yeah,
Weird.
like pre-Broadway version. I just say like, this is very exciting for me to be performing with you guys.
Yeah, likewise,
And
man.
and I didn't get the chance to say this when we were over there, but Darren's really good, which is the reason why I asked him at Neil's first night, would you come and do this thing?
Thank you.
And because I couldn't really think of anybody else.
Well, I'm glad your brain wasn't too creative.
Yeah, so he's gonna. Yeah. So
Should we do this
he
already?
wanted to do this thing.
Yeah, so we want. This is the original sort of arrangement of one of the tunes. No, I can hear it over here. Okay. I've got a sweet tooth for liquid straps and jelly rolls. Hey, sugar daddy, Hansel needs some sugar in his bowl. I'll lay out fine china on the linen, polish up the chrome. If you got some sugar for me, sugar daddy, bring it home. Blackstrap molasses, you're my orange blossom honey bear. Bring me Versace blue jeans, black designer underwear. Let's dress up like the disco dancing jet set in Milani Row. If you got some sugar for me, sugar daddy, bring it home. Oh, the thrill of control, like the rush of rock and roll. It's the sweetest taste I know. Oh yeah, oh sugar daddy, bring it home. When honeybees go shopping, it's
something to be seen. They swarm the wildflowers, they get nectar for the queen. And every gift you give me gets me dripping like a honeycomb. If you got some sugar for me, sugar daddy, bring it home. Oh, the thrill of control, like the restaurant on the road.
Oops.
It's the sweetest taste I know. Oh yeah. If you got some sugar, bring it home. Oh, yeah. Come on, sugar daddy, bring it home. Whiskey and French cigarettes, a motorbike, high-speed jets, a water pick, a Cuisinart, and a hypoallergenic dog. Oh, I want all the luxuries of the modern age, every item on every page in the million burning catalog.
Oh, baby, something crossed my mind. And I was thinking you'd look so fine in a velvet dress with heels and an ermine stole.
Oh, Luther, darling, heaven knows I've never put on women's clothes, except for once my mother's camisole. Oh, so you think only a woman can truly love a man? You buy me the dress, I'll be more woman than a man like you can stand. Oh, I'll be a Venus on a chocolate clamshell, rising on a sea of marshmallow fall. If you got some sugar for me, sugar daddy, bring it home. It's a tradition to control, like Eric Honecker and Helmut Kohl. From the Ukraine to the Rhone, oh yeah, sweet home Uber Alice, Lord, I'm coming home. Come on, sugar daddy, bring me home.
That was awesome. Stephen Trask.
Brilliant.
Don't these songs kick so much ass? Really incredible songs. All right.
Thank you. We're going to take a shower later.
Do I get the part? Lena, you want to take the lead vocal on this one?
Sure. It's really cool, you guys. I feel like I need a guitar, but no.
Rain falls hard, burns dry. A dream or a song that hits you so hard, filling you up, and suddenly gone. Breathe, feel love, give, free. Know in your soul, like your blood knows the way, from your heart to your brain. It knows that you're, and you're shining like the bright
on a midnight radio, and you're spinning like a 44 ballerina, dancing to your rock and roll. It's a party, Tina, and Yoko, Aretha, and Nona, and Nico, and me, and all the strange rock and rollers. You know you're doing all right, so hold on to each other. You gotta hold on tonight, and you're shining like the brightest stars in transmission on a midnight radio, and you're spinning, show you 45s, all misfits and the losers. Well, you know you're rock and rollers, Spencer. You're rock and roll. Lift up your hand, your hand. Lift up your hand. Lift up your hand. Lift up your hands. Lift up your hands. Lift up your Lift up your lift up your hands. Lift up your hands.
Yes.